So if you've been considering thinking about starting an Amazon business, you quickly discover as you do your research that there's a lot of different methods. It can be very confusing and hard to know when you're a beginner to zoom out and have that bigger perspective of knowing what is most difficult, what is most challenging, and what would be an easier method to get started with. And so that's the purpose of this video. I'm Ann Sieg, founder of the E-commerce Business School. And
I'm Brian Cummings. I'm the Director of Training for the E-commerce Business School.
And we have taught all these methods over the past 8 years with over 8,000 students, and we continue to teach these methods. And we're going to do a point-by-point breakdown so that you can get that fuller understanding that helps you be more informed in your decision-making process and give you greater confidence in making that decision on, which one of these methods is going to be what you might call best stacked in your favor, give you the odds of winning at the game, especially when you start. Because there is a lot of failure in the industry and there's a reason for it, and you're going to hear that as we walk through this diagram, this chart, delineating the difference between these sourcing methods.
So with Amazon, you're selling on one of their marketplaces. If you're here in the US, as we are, you're probably selling on Amazon.com. You can sell on any of the other marketplaces. And what we recommend is that you're going to be selling primarily to Amazon Prime customers. And to do this, you need to use Amazon's Fulfilled by Amazon service. That's where your products are prepared for their warehouses. They go into the Amazon warehouse where Amazon can then ship them right away to Amazon Prime customers, generally arriving in 2 or 3 days. So I like to think of an Amazon product sales business as a pipeline. You're purchasing products, or sourcing products as it's called, and preparing them for Amazon's warehouses, and then they go into the warehouse where they go up for sale. People buy them, Amazon ships it out to the customer, and you get paid. The more products you feed into this pipeline, in general, the more money that you're going to make. So each of these models here are product sourcing models. Private label, wholesale, dropshipping, including print on demand, and arbitrage. And we're going to describe each of these models and the advantages and disadvantages, especially in light of those that are new sellers, new to the Amazon marketplace, and what's required from a new seller.
Right, exactly. Now, let's start off with this one, which carries probably the most risk of any of these sourcing methods. And when I say risk, when we mean risk, more opportunity or more variables for things to go wrong. And probably our biggest example of this is if you were to say source from China, which we've done that too. Take our members over to China to actually do their sourcing. Just anytime you have more variables in play for something to go wrong, that is inherently what you would call more risk. So you want to know these things in advance. We're going to walk through that.
So private label, it's gained that name because you as a seller can visit a manufacturer of a product, an existing product, and have your brand name on it. And that's considered your private label. So that's how it's commonly done on Amazon. People will visit manufacturers, whether they're here in the US or overseas, and have a product made with their name on it, their label, their private label. And to do that, there's some challenges. One is that you're going to have to purchase in large quantities. And if you're purchasing from overseas in China, where the majority of products, private label products, are produced, you're going to be buying what they call an MOQ, minimum order quantity, of at least 500 to maybe 5,000 units. Lots of products. That means that's a lot of money that you're investing. That's capital.
Right.
Because it's your own brand, your own label, you're going to have to create a brand new listing on Amazon. And this presents a lot of challenges for you. It's not just knowing how to create a good listing with a good title, good bullet points, a product description, and also all those photos that you need to have on Amazon. There's a bigger concern. And that concern is that Amazon has millions, hundreds of millions of products. And where is your product going to be found? If you have a brand new product that you're putting up there in Amazon, people are going to be searching for it and using just keywords. Like if they're looking for a water glass or water glass set, it may just be that simple water glass set keywords that they put into search, And what they're going to find is 5,000 or 10,000 different products coming up. And of course, only 48 of those can be on the first page of search. The majority of customers never get beyond the first page of search. So those are the ones that they buy, which gives you a huge challenge that if you don't pick the right product and then get it promoted properly, your product may never sell. And that's happened to far too many people that are brand new to private label.
Yes.
So that means that you have to advertise your product. And that's something that Amazon calls sponsored ads. It's a platform that lots of sellers use, regardless if you're doing private label or one of these other sourcing methods. But there's a cost to that. And every time somebody clicks on your listing, you're going to pay a fee for that, regardless of whether your product sells or not. So in order to be successful, you're going to need to choose the right product and have the right keywords and the right photos. You're going to need to do an intense level of product and supplier research.
Yes.
Not only do you have to choose the right product, but you also have to choose the right supplier, the right manufacturer. And if you're buying from China, I think you could probably imagine how much could go wrong between what happens in China, especially with different languages, the different culture, and then what happens when you finally get the product landed here in this country. Well, it's not a sure thing that you're going to be successful. So this is a hugely challenging model of sourcing for new sellers. Lastly, there's this element. And this is really exciting. It's branding. It means getting your brand out there. But if you can imagine how much it costs in advertising and length of time to actually develop a successful brand, and especially with the competition on Amazon, this is a very, very difficult way to go as a new seller.
Yeah, and it's not to say it doesn't work. It's kind of all in the context of when. When is it appropriate for you? And as a beginner, well, just know this is laden with an enormous amount of variables, especially sourcing from China. You just layer on so many opportunities for something to go wrong. And this is where those stories come in, you know, where I've got X amount, it's sitting in my garage, I ordered 10,000 units, and I've only been able to sell 280 units. It's true. Those are common stories that play out because, I mean, this alone, the advertising and nailing that and getting your sales, your traffic to conversions where you need them to be, that's a skill set. So this is just laced with a lot of necessary skill sets to gain mastery to really be able to be good at it.
Mm-hmm. So this has the biggest learning curve. So let's move now from private label to the wholesale sourcing model. And this you're probably familiar with. You would go to a manufacturer, a distributor, a wholesaler, and you would set up an account with them and say, I want to sell your products. And they would send you a catalog and go through the terms of service with them. So you're actually signing up to get that account. So with that, some wholesalers have very, very large minimum quantities. They might want you to spend $5,000 right up front. Others have no minimums whatsoever. So you never know until you actually reach out to the wholesalers and contact them. With wholesale products, you have one advantage over private label, that some of those products that you find from wholesalers are likely to be on Amazon. Perhaps the majority will not, but many will be. And in this case, you can glean the data from those existing products. It's going to tell you how much competition there is, how much demand there is for the product, what the product should sell for, what people are actually paying for that product on Amazon, and you can even extrapolate your net profit from that. So there's a mix of new and existing listings. If you find products from the wholesaler that are not on Amazon, you're going to have to go through the same steps that you go over here with lots of research, advertising, writing those bullets, photos, all of that if you put up new product listings. So that means you may need to advertise. Now, these wholesale suppliers just aren't on the corner block. You know, they're not just down the street. You've got to research. You've got to do quite a bit of research. And then you have to apply to sell. You've got to open up an account with them. And that's not a sure thing, especially if you're brand new. You're going to find that there's some roadblocks there. So in general, wholesale, it's far easier than private label. It's less costly and less risky because you have a smaller amount that you need to invest to get started. But it's not necessarily an easier model than private label.
Yeah, I'm going to layer on a little bit of a metaphor here. We won't draw it out. But as you're looking at this flow, I liken this to, if you can think of a pool, swimming pool. I liken this end to be where the wading pool is, where it's very safe. You have toddlers start in the wading pool and they're getting used to it. They're getting acclimated, getting their feet wet, literally. And then as you go over here, they go to the deep end of the pool. The deepest end where you dream of being someday when you're a little kid. And they're getting up on the board and they're doing some stunts, some fancy dives off the end of the diving board. And they really need to have the better mastery of, first of all, being really good at swimming, being able to swim in the deep water. So that's kind of my metaphor that I think of is deep water, and we're going to move towards the shallow water, and you'll see why that's true.
So from Wholesale, we're going to talk now about dropshipping and something else that's akin to dropshipping called print on demand. With dropshipping, you're making an arrangement with a manufacturer supplier that will ship your product to the customer once it sells. So on Amazon, that just means that you create a listing for the product, the customer buys the product, you give the customer's information to the manufacturer, the supplier, and they drop ship it to the customer. Now, you don't have to pay for the product until they actually drop ship it, and you've already gotten paid from Amazon. So it's pretty nifty in the way that that works. This means you don't need any capital to invest in products. But unfortunately, you're only selling one product at a time. Now you can sell on existing listings, which means that you don't have to create new listings. They're going to show up in search. You already have that great data from Amazon. And you can also create brand new listings. And this is going to be especially true if you're selling something called print on demand. Print on demand is a product, and there's hundreds of products from t-shirts to coffee mugs to bedspreads and pillowcases that can have your design printed on them. And then you can list that on Amazon for sale. And the product doesn't even actually exist. You only have a mock-up, a picture of it. Once the customer purchases that, there's a print-on-demand supplier that you give the artwork to, and they will create that product right then and there, print it on demand, and send it off to the customer. So it's a drop shipping method, just like that. The problem is you're creating brand new product listings, and you run into the same challenges over here. Where do those products show up in search? You've got to advertise. You're also going to have to do supplier and product research, and especially for POD, the product research is going to be fairly intense. You're looking at artwork and designs, and you're going to have to produce artwork. Then there's one other rub about the whole drop shipping POD model. Because these products are being sent to the customer from the manufacturer of the product and not by Amazon, they're not available for FBA. They're not available to Amazon Prime customers. And we know that Prime customers purchase 2 to 3 times.
Yes, about 2.3 times more.
So we know that Amazon Prime customers purchase 2 to 3 times more often, and they spend, I think...
That was what it is. That's actually 2.3 times more spend. I don't know in terms of frequency, but the strength of Amazon is the Prime program, and I call it the spoil me rotten model. They spoil us rotten as Prime buyers. I'm one, you're one.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's 2/3 of American households. Probably more now since COVID, our Amazon Prime. That's what makes this such a powerful sales machine, and now all the other companies are in a quest to catch up with that foundation that Amazon set. And then they spoil us rotten as Amazon sellers.
That's right. And if you're a Prime customer yourself, you know the ease of shopping through Prime. You also know that you look for Prime products. And these products, they're not available to be sold through Prime. Now let's talk about arbitrage. And you're going to see immediately that this is a much simpler model to get started with, especially for somebody with a little bit of experience or no experience at all, a little bit of money or no money at all. You can get started very, very easily with some arbitrage. Arbitrage is the process of purchasing products, retail products, from local retail stores or from online websites. And you're typically buying products that are at a discount. You find those products on the website or in the store, you compare them to Amazon. If the price and the demand and the competition all look like that's in your favor, then you purchase the product and you send it into FBA. So you can buy very small quantities of products. You can test lots of products out on Amazon through this with a very, very little investment. With arbitrage, you're not spending the time to create brand new product listings. You want to do this very, very quickly. You don't want to spend the time creating new listing. You only list on existing listings, and they have all that data for you. So you're using proven data to sell proven products. This means you don't need any advertising, so you have no ad expense whatsoever. And here you don't have to research the suppliers because they're on every block. There are millions of websites to shop from. Product research only, comparing those products that you find at the store to Amazon to see if they're profitable. And this by far has the fastest turnaround from purchasing the product to the sale of product on Amazon.
And even profitability, especially if, for example, used books is one of the products that you can do arbitrage, which simply means to buy low, sell high, and you pocket the profit, the difference. And so you can really beef up those profit margins, as well as if you do cashback, discount stacking, which is something that we teach, and so that people can get upwards of 50% profit on their products doing arbitrage. So you're almost really a middleman supplier utilizing existing retail stores. And what I love the most, because in business you should have a trained eye towards looking for what I call points of leverage, where someone has done the heavy lifting for you. This has the most heavy lifting that is going to be on your end. Loads of heavy lifting. You zoom over here as we've gone step by step. This has the least amount of resistance, if you will. It has the maximum amount of leverage. And here's one thing too, is when we started this 8 years ago with our members, one of the first questions I had as an internet marketer was, wait, no, hold on a minute now. Well, what about saturation? Okay, it's 8 years later, and the saturation is a complete non-issue. It's not to say that there's not other sellers out there that you need to be aware of. That's actually one of the data points you need to consider in your product evaluation. And so here you mitigate that risk, and with the saturation issue, well, Amazon had a boost of about 30% growth between Q1 of 2020 and 2021, almost a 30% boost for such an incredibly already fast-moving, developing company. And so this is what we have seen, and I want to just really make clear to people. People think, well, all the big money is over here. Well, here you set your foundation, and you can make big money. We just had a seller posted, she did $500,000 single-handedly by herself doing this. But here's another big takeaway in terms of leverage, just to kind of recap this. What we help our members do is get started with the fastest, most reliable, predictable method. Plus, we want you to build that into a cash flow machine. And that cash flow machine is designed by getting quick sales, turnaround, and profit, starting to build a team who will help run and operate your business with systems that we provide you to use that your team will run for you. Now you have the business, the street cred, to move forward with greater confidence that you're going to succeed in these more advanced methods that by default carry more risk, because you've got this cash built legitimately from a business that you began here, not, oh man, I can infuse 10 grand, 20 grand in. No, please don't. Start small, grow big as you understand the data flow and how this works. But all to say, this is where you set your foundation so that when you move forward here, your likelihood of success has dramatically improved because you understand the Amazon system, and it takes time to learn. Why not mitigate having to learn that entire scope of the Amazon system, like the listings? We can mitigate that. We don't even have to worry or think about, well, what about my listings? Hey, I'm a brand new seller. Aren't all the more advanced sellers going to be able to outperform me and get in the buy box before me? Not so. Now, in terms of speed, especially if you do local retail arbitrage, you can go out, do scanning with your Amazon seller app and be making money very, very, very quickly. Because what you need as a new person is what's called a proof of concept for you. You need that proof of concept for you. This one, Brian, maybe 9 months out.
Oh, 9 months. Yes.
Minimum.
Yes.
You might be getting it to market, and you're waiting for that proof of concept that this indeed works. Start here, and we show you how, not only with that particular method, but how to do it the right way from day one, where you're the CEO and you're setting up a business that can run with or without you. So I hope that this has proven to be very, very valuable for you in your research, allowing us to zoom out on your behalf and spell it out very clearly and tangibly, pros and cons, and now you're more educated. So next step, if you'd like more information, is just go to ecommercebusinessschool.com or joinebs.com. Will take you right to our homepage for you to get more information, which we have a really incredible video for you there called The 3 Pillars of E-commerce Success. Because we're all about helping you make smart, well-informed, educated business decisions. Thanks for watching. It used to be said if you're not online, you're not in business. That's from like 15 years ago. All right. Now it's that if you're not on Amazon, you're not in business.
Regardless of that big dream, you've got to build a foundation. You have to have a business that has cash flow.
You need more cash? Go out and source some more. Shove those products into Amazon. What's going to spit out the other end is profit. It's that simple, isn't it?
Then they start looking at it as, this really is a system. So how can I add more to my system? How can I start to scale this?
That's why this is so integral, each pillar leading up sequentially to that long-term reliable business.
These are the real assets then that somebody who wants to buy a business, this is what they look for.
This is the brand launcher, the career launcher, the income launcher. It's a beautiful thing. And I know you're going to love what this can do for you. You're going to get a vision. You're going to get a vision to grow your business, to sell it for a profit, kind of show your pals, your friends, your family.
Yes, you can make $1 million just selling on Amazon alone.